In the heart of the lush Ecuadorian Amazon, where emerald leaves touched the sky and rivers snaked like silver ribbons, lived a tiny hummingbird named Mika. Her feathers shimmered with all the colors of a jungle sunset, and her wings beat so fast they were just a blur. Mika spent her days flitting from one brilliant flower to the next, sipping sweet nectar and dancing on the warm air. The forest was her home, her playground, and her whole world. All the animals, from the slow-moving sloth to the clever capuchin monkey, knew her as a cheerful, buzzing speck of life. One scorching afternoon, a strange, acrid smell drifted through the trees. Mika paused, her tiny beak dripping with nectar, too. The air grew thick and hazy. A bright orange glow flickered in the distance, growing larger and angrier with every passing moment. A fire! Panic rippled through the rainforest. Monkeys shrieked from the canopy, tapirs crashed through the undergrowth, and colorful macaws took to the sky in a frantic cloud. The fire was a roaring monster, devouring everything in its path. Laughter echoing through the once peaceful forest. The animals scrambled to escape. They ran, they swung, they slithered, all heading for the safety of the great river. But Mika, watching her beautiful home being consumed by flames, felt a surge of defiance. She couldn't just run away. This was her home. Churning her tiny body, she zipped towards the river, faster than she had ever flown before. She dipped her long, slender beak into the cool water, scooping up a single, precious drop. With all her might, she flew back towards the inferno. The heat was immense, a physical wall pushing against her. But she pushed back, her little wings a blur of determination. Reaching the edge of the fire, she released her single drop of water. It sizzled and vanished instantly, a tiny hiss against the roar of the blaze. Undeterred, Mika turned and flew back to the river. As she made her second trip, a large toucan perched on a branch just beyond the fire's reach, called out, "Mika, what are you doing?" "You're just a tiny hummingbird. That single drop won't stop this monster." A jaguar, pausing its retreat, scoffed, "He's right, little one. It's hopeless. Save yourself." Other animals, huddled in fear, watched her with pity and disbelief. Their words stung, but Mika didn't waver. She flew back to the river, filled her beak, and returned to the fire again and again and again. Each drop was a tiny act of courage, a whisper of hope against a roar of despair. Watching her tireless effort, something began to shift among the other animals. The wise old capybara, observing from the riverbank, spoke first. "She may be small," he said, his voice calm and steady, "but her spirit is mighty. She is doing what she can." Knows. Inspired by the capybara's words and Mika's unyielding bravery, a brilliant blue morpher butterfly fluttered down. It landed on a large leaf, curled it into a makeshift cup, dipped it in the river, and flew towards the fire, carrying a few drops of its own. Soon, the toucan who had laughed at Mika joined in, using its large beak to scoop and carry much more water. The capuchin monkeys found gourds and shells, forming a chain to pass them from the river to the flames. Even the armadillos, using their hard shells as bowls, began to ferry water. A wave of cooperation swept through the forest. Everyone, big and small, was working together, inspired by the smallest among them, the sky filled with a legion of creatures, all carrying water. Their combined effort began to make a difference. The hissing sound grew louder, and steam rose in great white clouds, battling the black smoke. The fire, which had seemed unstoppable, began to falter. It shrank back from the riverbank, its angry roar softening to a sullen grumble. They fought for hours, a united front of fur feathers and scales, until finally, the last ember was extinguished. Exhausted but victorious, The animals looked at their saved home. The forest was scarred, but it was alive. They all turned to look at Mika, who was resting on a branch, her tiny chest heaving. The great jaguar walked up to her and bowed his head. "You taught us something important today, little Mika," he rumbled. "You taught us that no act is too small when done with a great heart. You showed us that together we are strong enough to face any disaster." Mika chirped softly, her heart full. She knew then that even the smallest drop of water, the smallest act of care, can create a ripple that becomes a wave of change, proving that no one is ever too small to make a very big difference.